Hugh, thanks for coming on to Daddy Daughter Golf. Really
Oh, my
appreciate it.
pleasure. Nice to finally meet you, Gordon.
Yes, I've seen a few videos of you. I remember one particular with Be Better Golf, and I was watching intently and I was listening to you, and I'm like, this guy speaks my language. It's detail and reason behind things, and I'm in the music world and I'm very analytical and detailed as well. And I just remember watching the video with Be Better Golf, and then I was looking at other videos of you with different lesson things. I watched one with Incy as well,
Yeah,
and just really impressed with the way you do what you do. And yeah, and I just
thank you.
yeah, it's really cool. And so introduction to today would be, I would say, for our viewers, which are obviously going to be relatively new. Uh, you're Scottish clearly, but you're based in Surrey. How did that come about?
I got lucky and escaped early. Um, I, I was very fortunate, and I worked at Loch Lomond Golf Club for about for 4 seasons, and basically I'd already made the decision then that I wanted to coach full time. And one of the members at Loch Lomond was a member at the wizardry down here, and he said, "Well, we're looking for a new teaching pro. Do you fancy it?" And literally, I think I had my interview on one weekend, and 10 days later, I'd moved down. I was done. So that's how it came about. And I've lived in the same part of Surrey now for 25 years. So this is
Wow.
my 25th season in England.
So you've held your accent well. You've not let it stray or anything like that. You're pretty Scottish.
Uh, but it tends to come out when I'm speaking to fellow Scots. But it's no. My mother always said to me, said that you can move to England all you want, but just don't come back with one of those bloody awful English Scottish accents. So I've stayed true to that.
That's great. And you pretty much found your feet pretty quickly, you think, just down in 25 years ago and just hit the ground running.
Yeah, didn't even. I mean, this is home now. I visit Scotland 3 or 4 times a year. Still love going to Scotland, but it's yeah. This is very definitely home, and it was. I settled in very quickly. I was fortunate to be at a great club that I still do some work at to this day. Met a lot of great friends there who are my closest friends. So it's
That's
lucky.
really cool. A little bit of a joke here, but since you're a details kind of guy like myself, what's the average temperature difference between where you where you were at to where you're at now?
Way bigger than you
Yeah,
think. Particularly
yeah,
in the summer. I mean, it's not unusual for us to get into the sort of mid high 80s for days, weeks on end down here. But yeah, it's a good 5 degrees warm here. Anyone that
yeah.
says it's just a couple of degrees is kidding themselves.
I remember in particular, I did a couple of shows in London in a December. It was like a 16th of December, and I think it was like 16 or 17 degrees down there at the time. And for me, I was like, that was astonishing because up here it's the opposite. You know,
Yeah, that's a decent July
yeah,
day.
yeah. So, but no. So while we're at this sort of hot topic of golf at the moment, Scottie Scheffler, um, he's just won 2 weeks back to back, and he's just won the Players Championship 2 years in the bounds, first time ever. Now, from a coaching standpoint, when you see a swing which is, some would say, a little bit different to the conventional, it's got moving parts, and there's a perceived loss of balance visually for someone that coaches the game and is, maybe what do you think about that? And what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, first of all, he's displaying levels of ball striking that we haven't really seen since Tiger era, and he's okay. The level of dominance that he's shown is only over a short period of time, but it's now sort of getting on to 3 years, so it's clearly not an accident that he's not going to disappear anytime soon. I, his coach Randy Smith is a guy that's very much impact focused and is only going to deal with components or changes that are going to make the impact better. And you see this an awful lot through the US collegiate system, that you see some pretty funky golf swings that are very good at playing golf. And I think that's down to the collegiate system and the fact that it's much more about, all coach cares about is what number you shoot. Doesn't care what it looks like. So he's probably been surrounded by less people that want to change him. And there really is there's no reason to change him. When I see a golf swing like that, it's very tempting to look at it and go, Christ, I could do all those, I could do these really cool things and change this, that, and the other. But the first question I generally ask is, well, why does it work? That's of way more interest to me than why it doesn't work, because clearly it's very good. It works.
Yeah.
And my only concern with Scheffler might be, and we saw a little bit of it last week, it may be the longevity of the action from a sort of physical health perspective. He suffered from some neck injuries, but you see some very orthodox golf swings that produce injuries, so that have injured players. So I think as a coach, I'm much more interested in why does that work rather than what can I do to make it look better.
Yeah, he is pretty incredible, and I look at the guy and I see someone that's upstairs. He's there to win, and he's absolutely focused and sort of being the best version of himself every round. Do you think that there would be like would there be a high percentage of coaches in the world that would maybe consider trying to change those moves that he has, like back in the day when he was younger? Do you think that from your experience there would be an amount of coaches that would look at that and go, do you know what, that's not really Ben Hogan looking, or such and such? Or
yeah, I think there are. I think there's probably fewer now than there has been. The advent of radar technology, I think, is starting to guide coaches more towards form than sort of function rather than form. But I said before, it's going to be it'd be much easier to make Scottie worse than better, because I always talk about golf coaching being like Jenga, and that you pull out the wrong block and the whole thing goes crashing down around your ears. So I'd love to meet the guy that thinks he can make that more orthodox and make him better.
Yeah. It's trying to imagine him any other way now, isn't it? You've seen that for so long.
Yeah. And we know that he is by far the best ball striker on PGA Tour.
Yeah. I
mean, he's close on one stroke around better tee to green than the next guy, and the next guy's Rory McIlroy.
Yeah.
So Rory has got a 4-shot disadvantage when they step on the first tee in a 4-round tournament. Rory has. So how's that comparing to the middle of the road ball striker?
You know, when you say it like that, that's quite frightening, and that's scary stuff. I mean, and that's funny. I was thinking about that. What are the others thinking? Are they feeling? They probably are. They're feeling that way where the pros back in the day when Tiger burst onto the scene and he's winning by 1,000 shots. You know, that sort of fear.
I think Tiger was a very different phenomenon, because everything about him was kind of alpha male. He was an aggressive golfer. He was an aggressive competitor. So I think he had some more kind of, from a kind of physical perspective, he had potentially a little bit more presence than Scottie has. But it seems now that if Scottie turns up and putts half decent, it's not a case of if he's going to win, it's how many he's going to win by.
Yeah.
You've had him last week, injured round they made it look quite easy in the end, but injured round a very technical golf course. I think the PGA Tour must be praying that he stays injured. They're maybe keeping him injured so that everyone else has got a chance. Because he is that much better week to week than anyone else.
And that's part of the charm about Scottie, because he's not trying to be the alpha male. He's not trying to be the big one. He's so laid back, family man, very humble. You can still see on course he gets nippy with himself if something, you know, if he puts a shot 15 foot wide of the flag instead of 10, you know, he lets himself know about it. He's quite hard on himself in that respect. But apart from that, he seems like, he's not interested in the sort of the fronting of it all.
No, and I don't think it would be a mistake to think that he's not a really hard competitor because of the way he presents himself. He is a hell of a competitor. He must be, but it's definitely he's a low key world number one, isn't he?
Yeah, it's frightening to think what's coming. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, there'll be someone around the corner that will do the same.
Ludwig looks good. He looks good.
He would. Yep.
Yeah, he looks very good. Just while we're on the topic of sort of some quirky stuff on the tour, Matt Fitzpatrick and his cack-handed chipping situation. I mean, what do you when you see that coming onto the tour? What do you think? And have you actually had anyone in the past say, Hugh, I feel better like I'm chipping this way? What do you
I've,
think?
I've encouraged people to chip cat-handed. It's been very effective dealing with golfers who have got the chipping yips, because it's just fundamentally changing how the player moves. I think there is a mechanical advantage to chipping cat-handed. Matt was in one of the England squads that I coached, and he was always an exceptional chipper. But he's found a way that's even better. There's no reason why it shouldn't be more commonplace than it is.
I mean, I'm trying. Is there anyone else in the sort of top level of golf doing that? I'm not sure.
There's been a few over the years, but generally they've been people that have struggled with chipping. Where Matt's different is that Matt was already an exceptional chipper, and he found something to make him even better.
Fascinating, fascinating. I think that's yeah, it's good to see that. Hugh, I've got a wee talented daughter who plays golf. She's 8 years old. Melody,
Yeah.
current world champion, Scottish, doing us all proud. And so I was hoping to ask you a few questions, that sort of on yeah, how you would see the coaching structure for a junior golfer. And the Melody started around about the lockdowns. That's what sort of triggered all this.
Yeah.
And from my point of view, I was always keen on getting her to work on the short game, chipping, putting, playing little games in the bunkers, messing about, and getting target-based stuff. Because I always felt that when you're 5 and 6 and stuff, you don't really have the structure to really dial in, you know, especially when the club's so heavy for the kid, and the only thing they can do is really pull it in the inside and stuff like that because of the physical weight of the thing. So my mind was always about just let's get this stuff going, and when you get older, kid, you'll get that sort of So we were against sort of beating balls in the range for age because the kid would get tired as well, And even at little sort of golf events that Melody would play, when we were warming up, I think we'd maybe hit like one driver just to at the end of all the sort of we just
Yep.
we're always sort of not really inclined to think, hitting it long's the way. But do you have I mean, is it a set way or is it player by player basis? How would you sort of
I
integrate?
think there's some, I guess some philosophies that I would apply, but it's no different to coaching a tour player or coaching a leisure player. That every single person you coach is a case study of one. With juniors, I think doesn't sound like a terribly grand aspiration, but with the majority of juniors, I still think the most important thing is that they love their golf experience so much that they keep playing golf. And I've seen too many sad stories over the years of outside influences, whether it's county coaches or national coaches, not necessarily aiming at the coaches, just the structure of the programs themselves, or parents, that basically it stops being fun. And to me, if you're a good player as a 12-year-old and you leave the game because of your experiences within the game, that's absolutely criminal. So Andreas Cali, who's a dear friend of mine and I think runs one of the best junior programs on earth, even as up to 14 years old, where he's already dealing with internationals, the number one goal for his program is to keep them playing golf.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, particularly in this modern day and age where there's so many distractions out there, that it's so easy, if the experience isn't positive, it's so easy for kids to go and do something else. And I think for me, it's still about ensuring that it's a positive environment, that it's a safe environment. It's an environment where the kid is encouraged to be themselves. I'm not particularly good with rules from a personal perspective, and I don't like enforcing rules on juniors. Obviously, we need to ensure that it's a safe environment. We don't want them getting hit, but I think providing an environment where the kid is allowed to thrive on their terms is so important. And you have to build your coaching process for each golfer, for each child around them. You can't just say, right, this is the way I do it.
Yeah.
You touched on a pretty good point there, Gordon, when you said that you talked about the physicality. I think when you can't rush the physical maturation process. Get really exceptional at the stuff that doesn't require physical maturity, because as the physical maturity comes, as long as the player is being coached sound fundamentals, really strong movement skills, the player will develop. That it is like baking a cake. If you take the cake out too early, it tastes rubbish.
Yeah.
You've got to just let it cook, and as the player matures, I mean, the great challenge with coaching, particularly good juniors, is that you need to be ensuring, I kind of compare it to two racehorses, that they've got to have the skills to perform, but you've also got to ensure that you're giving them what they need to develop, and just making sure that those two are balanced nicely against one another on an ongoing basis.
Yeah. So you're basically saying just keeping them in the game is sort of the paramount thing at the moment, regardless of the.
I think so. I do, because it's let's face it, it's a bloody difficult game to love.
Yeah.
It's difficult, it's time consuming, it's expensive, it's still not particularly welcoming to outsiders. So it is a difficult game to love. And every kid should have the most positive experiences with their golf coach, with their parents, with their peers. It should always be a positive experience. That doesn't mean there won't be ups and downs along the way, but every perceived failure, every down is an opportunity to give that player more skills that will stand them in good stead further down the way.
Yeah, because when Melody's been to certain competitions and at world level and different things, there's a lot of conversations going about, and there's parents that have got their kids with personal trainers at 8 and 9 years old in the gym and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I'm just like Melody, just target stuff, focus on, ball to the hole sort of stuff. We don't do any of that sort of building up.
I'm trying to think who it was recently. I watched something in social media with one of a renowned development coach. I couldn't even tell you what sport, but an Aussie guy, and he just basically said, "There's no such thing as an elite 9-year-old." And this, you see it in programs now where you've got an elite under 14 squad. They're not elite. So they're kids playing golf, and you're just trying to make them a little bit better and ensure they have a wonderful experience while they're doing it. Yeah. I personally wouldn't encourage people to go down that route. But then it's not for me to criticise.
Okay, so the thing I want to touch on at the moment is quite important. The importance of a golf coach, okay? Because I play off 5, but I'm a professional musician. I'm not a professional golfer, and I'm not a professional coach, right? So I can give suggestions and different things to Melody that will help her along the way. I got Melody involved with David Orr up here in Glasgow. He used to coach me when I was like 15 years ago. Again, I'm a musician, I'm playing drums, I'm touring, but when I come back off tours, I like to play my golf, and I would go and see him. And whenever I'd go and see him, I'd go into the next medal and play well or win or do something. And it was like, he always had that thing where he made me do the right things and get better. And he's one of these coaches as well where he speaks to you. He doesn't shout. He doesn't give it the biggin on the range. He's like, he doesn't want to let everyone know he's a coach. He speaks, and it's like, he's just got a great demeanour. And it always stuck with me, that, right? So when Melody was looking for a new coach in sort of last year or so, I thought, you know what, let's speak to David. And Melody straight away took to him. And honest, the change in Melody, just in terms of, she comes alive when she goes into the room to see him in the simulator or out in the course. And one of the things I wanted to touch on as well is David obviously is a multiple winner on sort of various pro tours, I think Challenge and Europro and different things, and if he's explaining something or he wants to demonstrate a specific shot or a specific chip or pitch motion, he does it to a high level, and Melody's seen that up close. It's like you can see the effect it has. Now I want to ask you, is this stuff like that, sort of having a high level of game as a coach, is that important, or is there other things to it, basically?
The key is that they've been around golf and they understand golf. Obviously, being a high level player means that you've been around high level golf. Now, that doesn't necessarily relate to a club player. One of the challenges I've seen historically with particularly good players is that when they turn to coaching, they end up coaching their beliefs and how they played. So it can be quite a kind of polarized coaching process. Now, that's not to say that there's no disadvantage to having been an exceptional player. But the skills required to be an exceptional player and an exceptional coach are not the same. And the benefits to being an exceptional player, yes, you might have a little bit more credibility. If you do demonstrate, then you're going to be able to demonstrate effectively. But there's a downside to that as well. If you're demonstrating better than the player in front of you, that can undermine the player. So I think the key is being what I would call a golf person, that they understand the game, they've been around the game, ideally at a lot of different levels, and they just get golf. Whether they're a good player on top of that, because you can coach without demonstrating. Being a good player is effectively a bonus, I would say.
Yeah,
it's much more about the personality, and what David's clearly doing for Melody is he provides a positive experience, a positive environment.
It's phenomenal, honestly. She just comes alive. She comes alive to challenges. He'll hit a pitch into 3 feet from 50 yards, and Melody's going to beat it, and she does sometimes. And there's that back and forward, and it's just like Melody, this one's for a cream egg and stuff like that, and it's just so fun, But at the same time, there's challenges, and it's target focus, and for me, it's like I really enjoy.
Very good practice.
Yeah, he's it's just one of the ones it's a perfect fit, and Melody she can't wait to go and see him every time. So I'm sure you'll be delighted to hear that. It's because there are situations where Melody's had a previous coach and we had some good moments, but there was times where he's got a Tiger Woods on the right hand side of the screen and Melody on the left hand side, and I'm like, Melody's 5 or 6 years old here, and I think sometimes it maybe Melody saying, "Oh, there's me on the screen with Tiger Woods," might have a positive effect. But I've never seen David do anything like that where he's comparing, he's split screening, Melody to a famous golfer. And I don't know what your thought is on that, but I always thought it was a bit different.
It's something that I will sometimes show a tour player, an expert player, to highlight a specific thing. Very rarely would I sort of run the whole swing, and almost never would I compare it to the player. Because as I touched on earlier, that every person you coach is a sample size of one. They're a case study of one. So it's understanding what is the best set of movement options for that player to produce the ball flight they want.
Yeah.
And when you start to pull up different golf swings from different players, you don't know what shot they're hitting, you don't know where the wind is, you don't know what the camera angle's like. There's so many things that make that, for me, kind of question the value of doing that.
Yeah, I agree. Interesting. Touching on technology, you're a Trackman Master. So I'm curious to know, just touching on when that stuff all sort of first came out and became sort of the thing. What was your first experiences of that, and how has it evolved over the years, and obviously what are the benefits to using systems like Trackman and such things?
I couldn't wait to earn enough money to be able to buy one, first of all. And I've had a long-standing relationship with Trackman, probably 12, 14 years working with them. I'm very much a data guy. If I can measure something rather than guess it, I want to.
Yeah.
It's made me a much better coach because it's refined my eye. I'm better at seeing stuff now because I'm able to cross-reference it against data. I posted about it actually Monday night. I think that technology does so many good things, and that it helps you as a golf coach. It helps you make much better judgment calls. It also helps provide great feedback for the student. I've asked you to do X, and look what it's done to the ball flight, or look what it's done to the impact. It's great for exploring and researching as a coach. If you've got some new principle that you want to test, if you like, get some data. That's a decent way of doing it. It's not really, I think, a tool necessarily for the student. It's much more a tool for the coach. You don't, if you go to do some blood tests at the doctor, the technology they use to analyze your blood is not something that I'll ever see, but it's necessary for the doctor to make the right call. I kind of view technology more from that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big part of Melody's development as well. She likes to see things as well. And for being 8-year-old, but just having I know you're saying obviously from a coaching point of view, it's critical to you. And I think it is for most coaches as well, being able to see certain paths and stuff like that and on the screen. It's good because I see David will show Melody that and she understands what that swing did there. It made it do this and this. And I think it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think, historically there was the details in the dirt and all that stuff, and that's great. But having this extra feedback, I think, is phenomenal.
100% agree, and it's we can make reasonably informed guesses as to what the club's doing through impact, but we're never going to be able to guess in any detail just because it's moving too quickly. So it's an integral part of what I do because, as I said, I don't want to guess. And I want to be able to say to the student, we're going to shift this number to help you hit this shot, and then when they do that, we can provide them evidence.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Listen, I'm not going to keep you too long. I've got one little segment left. One little segment left, and it's quick fire questions. It's a bit of fun, right? So the Scottish themed. Yeah. So just quickly answer. Yeah. So, favorite Scottish golf course?
Loch Lomond.
Favorite Scottish drink?
Whiskey.
No iron brew?
No.
Okay.
Don't really.
No. Favorite Scottish food?
Scotch pie supper.
From a chippy?
Oh, aye.
Any particular chippy?
Cafe Orlando opposite Kelvin Grove Art Gallery.
Ah, interesting. I know it well. It's just down the hill from the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm clearly a man who knows his fried food.
At least you didn't say Blue Lagoon. Okay, sorry. Favorite Scottish band or artist?
Oh man, I spent my 20s in Glasgow watching everyone. Probably Deacon Blue or Kevin McDermott Orchestra.
Nice. I know Ricky well. Good guy.
He's one of the great performers.
Yeah, really cool. Favorite Scottish song?
After saying Deacon Blue, I'd probably say it's going to be a Proclaimer song, "Sunshine on Leith."
By the way, that is a song. Honestly, that's a great song. What a tune that is.
A song.
Yeah, really good. Okay, hope this doesn't cause any problems. Favorite Scottish football team?
If I have to fall on one side of the Great Divide, it's Rangers. But I really got totally disengaged with Scottish football when I moved south. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan for my sins. But I fall on the Rangers side of the divide.
Yeah, Melody and I are the same. That's amazing. Big Angie's doing well at Spurs. Good guy.
Brilliant.
Really good guy. Brilliant. Favorite Scottish invention? Responsible for a few.
Yeah, no. Probably going to come out with a left field answer here. That basically British economic systems were the product of a Scot, John Smith. So I'm going to say that's probably more because TV become irrelevant. Telephones become irrelevant as Alexander Graham Bell designed it.
Do we not invent golf?
Well, there's some dispute about that.
That's what I was hoping you would clear up for me because we're taking all these inventions. It seems that's fun.
Yes.
Okay, favorite Scottish golfer?
Scott Jamieson. Coached him for years. Really good dude.
Nice.
Big Rangers fan.
Was he was he Pollock based or something like that? Or what was
he? Was a member of Cathkin Braes, I think.
Cathkin Braes. Yeah.
Yeah. But really good guy. To be fair, all the Scottish golfers are good guys. Mark Warren's great dude. Richie Ramsey, Monty, Paul Laurie.
Yeah.
Scott's a mate of mine, and he's just a good guy.
A guy called Sandy Lyle was no bad as well.
Yeah, was he really Scottish?
Ah,
Sorry, Sandy.
Okay, listen, this is the very last question for you, right? So it's not Scottish related, but you can play a four ball with anybody, anyone in the world of golf, past or present.
Yeah.
Who are the other three and why?
I'm going to give you a pretty ordinary answer, but it's still what I believe. I'm never happier on a golf course than when I'm playing with my best mates.
Nice.
So many happy memories, so many. That's basically golf is what's brought us all together as mates. I don't really have a great desire to play with a Hogan or a Tiger or a Nicholas or uh, yeah, I just want to play golf with my mates.
A good answer. Fair play to you. Yeah.
That's where I get the very most pleasure from the game. So yeah, just golf with my mates.
Brilliant. Well, on that note, we'll leave it at that. Hugh, that was really cool. Well, thanks
Brilliant.
so much
No,
for
I enjoyed that, Gordon.
coming
That
out.
was fun.
Wee Melody's at school now. Obviously, she's going to love it when she sees it when it goes live. And listen, social media, what's your handles for all your different things so the people can check you out?
Well, the best. I'm active on Instagram. Hugh Marr Coaching on Instagram. HughMarr.com is my website. That's basically my online presence. If I could get away with not being online at all, I would. But I'm a necessary evil in this day and age.
Well, listen, Hugh, thanks so much. It really means a lot to us. And just have a great day, and we'll speak to you soon. Okay?
Yeah. Well, good luck with everything as well. If I can do anything to help, please let me know.
Yeah. No, you've been brilliant. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Classmate. Thanks.